Peace and blessings, y'all. This is your boy Gerald. It is Sunday, 27th of November, 2016. You're on the backside of your weekend. How is everybody doing? Before I get into this video, going to have to work with me. Because what you don't see is, see, I got my shea butter. And as you know, you got to keep your melanin on point. So I'm going to be rubbing and caressing and getting my skin, which is your largest organ, on point, because I have to start my day. So bear with me. For those who don't know what shea butter looks like, comes in two forms. You have the pure, which is white, and then you have the yellow. Well, I can't get hold of the white. I'm gonna look on Amazon. Pretty sure I can find it. Get this working. All right. So, how's your weekend thus far? I hope wherever you are safe. You are protected. You are making the steps, doing the work to reconnect to the person who you were all along, that little boy, that little girl that's inside you. Because you are a spiritual being first before the physical. But without the physical, everything on this earthly realm cannot be touched, cannot be possessed, cannot be validated, because we need a body. But as you know, as life has shown you, the more vulnerable you are, the more you advance in life, because all things must coincide. All things must be interlocked and simultaneously function together cohesively, because we're talking about you. I don't know where you are. I hope that the weather has been treating you well, because here on the East Coast, I reside in Virginia Beach, Virginia. It is freaking cold, but I welcome it. I truly welcome it, because like some of you, that's when you are more expressive. You get to break out those sweaters and those hoodies, and you get to wear those boots and slacks. Yes, you can break out your corduroys if you have them. And it's about protecting you as you progress through life and mature. You know the do's and don'ts when it comes to protecting that temple, making sure that your skin is nourished and you're drinking your water and you're taking note to your pH balance, if you're alkaline or not. That's why it costs so much. Why? Because your body needs it. Why? Because there's only one you. But I ain't gotta tell you nothing you don't already know. Haven't you noticed when you moisturize your body, it glows? You know why it glows? Because it matches your spirit. Who am I talking to? And it's very, very important that you love yourself. You set the template. You set the example of what may try to come your way. How about what distracts you from. So this video today, I'm kind of surprised that people don't talk about this, but this affects us as individuals. In regards to our lineage, it affects us as a community, but yet we sidestep it like someone may have erred on the floor. We know it's there, we smell it, we see it, but no one wants to clean it up. Why? Like it will magically just go away. Nope. You breathe life into it. Oh, for somebody like, well, what was that? There you go. There you go. Got it? All right. You can find this on Amazon or your local health and beauty. I don't know if Sally carries it. Sally's Beauty, because they got them everywhere, but they're commercialized. So roll the dice on what you find there. Save your money. Shop online. But one thing that I've noticed through my maturity, but it wouldn't be until entering my 30s, I started seeing a repetitive pattern. I started seeing relationships transform and break apart. And I always saw, when it was all said and done, there was always somebody doing this. The reason why, what led up to it, was always kept out of the intended ear. The children who are the silent victims were catapulted or thrusted into a new emotional environment of adapt. So I started to notice the media started to play into it, and you see dysfunctional TV aired in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, now internationally. The propaganda that relationships are outdated. Maybe because when you look at what's required to have a relationship, it reflects back to you. Because you can't have a relationship with anybody until you forge one with yourself. In the end result, through time, because time reveals all, you see the things that were taken for granted and things that were lacked and things that were shored up to make up for the things that should have been put there from day one, only to fall apart. I don't have to tell you this. Just look at your friendly neighborhood water cooler talk. Pick the blogs. The stories are always the same. The agenda has always been there, but the clarity wasn't. Because the clarity required one thing: ownership. Haven't you noticed? Just let's take a moment. Think about the relationship you may be in now or may have come from, and you will start to see a pattern. Didn't you realize that in the beginning, it was filled with endless possibilities of conquering the world, physical attraction, and bewilderment. But yet, the things that would sustain this was never there. The things you needed were never given. Did it ever strike your mind why it felt like every time something that should be willfully given to you to make the best you was the hardest thing to obtain? There's a reason for that, y'all. The reason was the person, the environment was constructed so you couldn't see the truth. There's a term we know as having rose-colored glasses. But in actuality, that is nothing but an opportunity to deflect. That's an opportunity to not put in the work. And the things that you needed were thrown to the wayside. And haven't you noticed the things that you thought were going to stand the test of time, when you put it up next to something to compare, you started to see the cracks. You saw the differences. And you also saw the excuses too. Who am I talking to? But see, there's always been an agenda. But what is agenda if you don't embrace it? A failed attempt. So what's required is you ground your feet. And this will be the emotional marker that will actually let you know the reflection of your state of being, your perceptions, as well as how your environment is formed around it. Now, let's get to the gist of it. I remember, man, my mouth didn't work. I remember, I think it was nearly 7 months ago, I happened to be online and there was a live session going on. I don't know what the forum had to do with relationships, and the discussion had gotten heated. And a lot of times what I'll end up doing sometimes when, I don't have anything going on, I like to listen. I like to observe, because, God will use anybody and anything to convey a message for you. Why? Because he's a custom tailored God. He don't need your permission to make you better, because he created you. You are his child. So it kind of makes sense why the world we live in today is pretty perverted and screwed up, and what should be deemed sacred is, it has no weight, and the things that should be, well, rejected are given false platforms. But those same platforms have a purpose, and that purpose is to set up the pain. And oh, the pain. See, this is one thing that man has not figured out. Pain can be a motivator. Pain can give you clarity. But one thing pain does not do, and that is no time. Pain is like the clouds. It just sits there. And as you look at it, it's there. But you know what? Who says that you're supposed to be there looking at that? Maybe what you're feeling is the opportunity to make great change. So let's go back to the 80s, y'all. There's, our United States has gone through a lot. We've had to deal with natural disasters, social collapse, i.e. the drug epidemic, high incarceration, as well as laws and referendums that were only setting up the laws and infringements of your civil rights today, feeling the effects of it. So what does that have to do with the topic? It has a whole lot. Because you make your reality. You choose your environment. Because it always started right here. So now, 2016, you probably noticed this for at least the last 7 years. The ante is always one up. There's always something that makes you go, There's always something that is tugging at your emotions. You know why? The end goal is for total social submission. That's why TV is set up in a way that truly it's only there for distraction. Haven't you noticed the things that will maybe plant the seed to spark your interest? You don't see it on prime time. Only fillers. Only minstrel shows. Yes, for those who know what I'm talking about, except they just took the filter off. It's not black and white anymore. It's all about who and what they will do to get you tuned back in. But there's something more sinister going on. See, they couldn't get it done in the 50s. They pushed the agenda in the 60s by pitting someone who looks just like you, attacking the way you see life and appreciate it by inflating the social accolade of status. I know a lot of y'all know right now, those who want to live the life of the Joneses. But guess what? The Joneses is really a figment of your imagination. They don't exist. It's just an archetype. It is nothing but a psyop to get you to let them pull the strings of how you function. But let's go to the root. Because I think this is kind of peculiar these days, because I know that I saw in the 60s and the 70s, it was about family. Everybody sat at the dinner table at the decided time, and we communicated. We broke bread. And there was a father there. Your mother was there. You might have dropped a couple elbows on your sister or punched your brother, but there was unity. Now, that's not the case. Now, it's all about get what you can get while you can. no matter what it costs. The one who has the most pennies win. And does it surprise you? Every year, we get a set of sponsored images. Oh, yes. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity, but I'm going to use this as an example because I got to throw this out there. If you've had the pleasure to see this movie, which was a black interpretation of The Wizard of Oz, if you have, you'll know exactly where I'm going. There was a scene when Dorothy, played by Diana Ross, with the Scarecrow, the Lion, Toto, made it to Oz. And as they made it to Oz, they were in awe of the big buildings, and they took it in. And as they were taking in what was so great, they saw people, and they were dancing around what was a skylight. And as they danced around this skylight in unison, they heard this great voice say, "The color is blue." And as the voice echoed this, they started to respond and dance around this skylight. Shortly after, the great voice said, "The color is green," and they echoed this and continued to dance around the light. The people represented the masses. The giant voice, hold that thought. I'll be right back. I'll tell you about that. The voice represented public opinion, influence, motivation. And these people who just stayed with the status quo. They didn't challenge it. And they kept dancing around this light until Dorothy, who was trying to figure her life out, that's what the metaphor of the movie was about, to love yourself, took it upon herself to investigate, metaphorically, to go deeper. And she realized Oz, who was played by legend and comedian actor Richard Pryor, was just a typical Joe. And because of his status and influence, was able to proverbially move the crowd. There's so many metaphors in that movie. And if you have an opportunity to see it, I highly recommend that you do. The movie talks about self-esteem, self-worth, seeing your purpose, and understanding your direction. But the common denominator is you. Now, what does that have to do with your topic, Gerald? Has a whole lot. Because if you don't know who you are, You won't know what to protect. You won't see the obstacles. And you will constantly be in a repetitive cycle until you do. So, to go back to that live stream discussion, the topic was about relationships. And someone had asked, well, they had said something, and the person responded, said, well, money ain't everything. And a young woman said, yeah, it's not everything, but it's a good cushion. So when I saw that, I responded to her. I said, are you telling me that you are willing to put a price tag over your peace of mind? And quickly as I said it, she turned around and responded, you can't eat off love. So I responded back. I said, no, you can't eat off love, but you can build off a foundation. She was gone. Because until you decide your life is not for sale, it never was, will you start to be able to live it. Now let's fast forward to what's going on right now. Do you realize that if people just spent 50% of the effort that they give to the things that are temporary, the things that are distractions, and the things that were just flat out meant to hold you still, you realize how different your life would be? But see, there's a social dynamic that separates men from women. Men are taught from a little age, you are the provider. When you get knocked down, get up. Do not show your emotions. And work hard. It starts out that way. But through life and choices made, your journey goes the way it does. Women, you are taught from a young age, you are a princess. You deserve to be pampered, to see your beauty, and you go through life. But what's not put there is see your uniqueness, get your knowledge, see your value, protect your temple. That conversation never happens. So what ends up happening? The ego is formed. The behavior is condoned. And the checks and balances that should be there are not. Add a disappointment here, add a lie here, social influence over there, makes low self-esteem now. So you get to a point, you say, well, what's the point on investing in me when I can just do nothing? I can just become property, like a trophy, because society knows that most men are visual, but they become dangerous when they become spiritual. Who am I talking to? So what's been going on? You've got all these people out here trying to convey to just do a little bit, win at all costs, and there's no recourse. Little do they know, some of the most broken people you will ever come in contact. Sure, from the outside, they are shiny and new. They got the latest and greatest. But if you ask them how they obtained it, mum's the word. They can't tell you. They can't tell you because the truth is shame provided that. Pain sustained it. And silently, they are doing a prison sentence within themselves. I had someone tell me once in a conversation about I'm going to respect the anonymity of the person, but they told me they were very blessed to meet the love of their lives. They knew it from the moment they came in contact. They knew. But the problem was that the guy was not progressing. Her expectations, even though the love was there, the protection was there, the support was there, she had already had diamonds in her eyes and was looking at the guy across the way, proverbially. She couldn't understand why aren't you on his level, but yet did not understand that everybody has a story. And without a care, threw him away. He was devastated. He couldn't understand. How could you betray someone who loves you? But instead of disrespecting his value of who he was, he went on. Always in the back of his mind, he hoped that she was okay. This is when you hear the story of the proverbial saying, let me get my coffee real quick. That's life. Get over it. But what is a life not claimed? See, the point I'm trying to get to somebody is the moment that you took your first breath, you were blessed. You were priceless. There will never be another you. But the challenge will be those that are in your environment trying to define who you are. They will be in your ear saying, you know what? If you want to get ahead in your life, you're going to have to do some uncomfortable stuff. Some will even tell you, well, if you want to have the things that you desire, notice desire, not need. you're going to have to make some concessions. And then there are some that are truly disconnected and say, well, you know what? What one person won't do, another will. See, what ends up happening? You just opened up a spiritual door. And all that you wanted, you will have. But what will end up happening is all that you needed can't be found. Who am I talking to? So socially, you have people out there promoting that love is overrated. They're campaigning to influence our babies. They use bias and say, well, if it was so bad, well, look at your family members. They turned out all right. Quickly to overlook the stress, the fighting, the discourse. For what? What is a house with no love in it? I'll tell you what it is. It's a disappointment. It's like looking at a tombstone with your name in it. Nobody wants to claim that. But as long as you let Johnny, who is stroking that pen, saying, you know what? Life is cruel. You want to be able to obtain these things? You're going to have to do some things. Even Mike Epps even made a joke and said, you know, you got people doing something strange for change. But he wasn't talking about love. So society is really, when you think about it, this is for you, Queen. If society wanted to see the best of you, why would they put so much distractions to filter you out? If society wanted to see your greatness, why would they constantly put imagery that would spawn your insecurity? Who am I talking to? You don't think they make Zoloft for nothing, do you? But see, we can also agree that God ain't in this. Because the two gifts he gave every human being: unconditional love yourself and free will. So you can't turn around and say, she made me do it. You were there. She killed that guy. He was abusive. He could have left. She could have left. So it goes back to the core of you. So now we have a society that is lazy. And very narcissistic. They send a message to men. I should have put a disclaimer out, but I'll pick my words. They send a message out to men to be the hero, but don't be the champion. That taking shortcuts is accepted as long as the payout. No, it's not. Never was. And that is why we are in a reality where you're hearing this. Family, children, maturity, and then voila. You know, I never loved your mother. What? Or the opposite. Well, he was a good provider. If he was such a good provider, why couldn't he provide the environment to nurture your heart? Or you see this. Two bitter people, more focused on the assets, but not the courage to find their happiness elsewhere. Have people say, you know what? I hope you trip and fall down some stairs. And choose to live in separate rooms. Love ain't there. And you know God ain't there either. Because a house that prays together stays together. So, now's the time you got to be honest with yourself. I've always echoed this to you, queens, for a specific reason. As long as you allow this to dictate this, you'll never be connected to this. The worst thing that you could ever do is ransom your integrity for convenience. What separates you from that person that has emotionally checked out for the next common stranger to do whatever? What separates you? So it made me think back to the conversation that this person, this female, she could have been, I don't know, but they had a female profile name on the chat. And I asked, I said, so are you saying that you have a price? And I don't know if she got offended, but the tone, it heated up a second. And she automatically said, are you calling me a whore? I said, no. I said, I asked a question. Why would you choose to align yourself with someone who could never fulfill your emotional needs? She rebutted, well, I got children. And the father was not progressing as quick as I needed him. So I made a choice for someone who was safe. I already answered my question. And you see it all the time. You see the guy, and you see the girl. And the girl is very attractive, and the guy may not be. And then the question pops in your head, what is it about him that drew her to him? Or, Queens, I know you don't like this. You see this all the time. You may see or have seen your ex, which there's no such thing as an ex. Let me let you know that too. Because guess what? The moment that you interlock sexually, part of your spirit and their spirit is together. Maybe that's the reason you're seeing them. I'm sorry. Maybe that's the reason why you're seeing them in your dreams. Or how about out and about? God's trying to talk to you. But you see that on the flip, and you say, well, what is it about her that I don't have? And really, when you think about it, it's a show. You blink twice, just like the pair of shoes, there's someone else. And if you're privileged and have done the work to know that person's history, and that's the information they're willing to share, because fellas, let me let you know something. Just like there are things about you keep sacred and locked away, what do you think she's doing? Don't believe me? Think back to that moment when you were dating and she came over and had your playlist. I bet you a nickel to a dime. Those songs that you put together emotionally were connected to someone else. They do the same thing. What makes you think they wouldn't? But that's truth. And some people can't deal. So to go back to what I was saying, I asked her, I said, I'm not calling you out of your name, but you willfully put your happiness on the shelf. She quickly, and Big Cap said, I made a mistake. Really, that was nothing but a means to get off the topic, which was her, and look at her choices. It was getting too hot because it takes courage to look at where you've been. Most people can't do it. And unfortunately, we live in a society where what is looked at as a relationship is really nothing but a means of barter, only covertly masked by the association. And so does it surprise you when you see these high profile divorces occur? And you say, well, wow, they had it going on. Why? Why are they apart? One of them did the homework. And one was the game. So we're in 2016 now, Queens, and society, I told y'all, society does not want you to go inside that mind of yours and look at where you are compared to where you've been and definitely do not want you to connect the dots to your influences, maybe your family members or those along the way. Society don't want that. So right now, the devil thinks he's winning. The devil turns around, and every time you try to keep it together, you say, well, you know, I keep coming back to this same answer. Devil turns around like, don't worry about that. Go ahead and take that swig of that alcohol. Get a little bit of it in. Nah, don't worry about it. No. Just go in the bedroom and it'll be over in a little while. Nah, don't do that. Nah, go ahead and take that next bruise. Because if you don't, the bird cage will be taken away. And we have gotten so selfish, so egotistical, that you see this. I would leave your ass, but then if I do, somebody else may come along. Really? Really? You've demarginalized your happiness. You've seen time and time again that this is who it is, which is nothing but a byproduct of actions of you thinking that you can change them into the image of you. How many times, Queens, you didn't told them, I want you to wear what you want. I want you to wear this. I want you to talk like this. I want you to have this. And if you don't, I'm cutting the cookie jar off. I'm putting a price tag on you. And God's been doing it. You see this all the time too. God and got his foundation on point. He's got everything good to go. And then the person that is walking with him, a walking trophy, behind closed doors, he is saying, listen here, you want to keep driving that big car? You better jump when I tell you to jump. You want this big house? You better not tell me no. And the manipulation, or better yet, the emotional dissolvement of that person's identity is so progressive that they don't even realize or recognize the person looking back. Some of y'all know who that is because you may have family members like that. And you say, well, I remember who they were before she got with him. She was happier then. But she got everything she wants. Or I remember when he got with her. And he's a fraction of who I once used to know. See, at the end of the day, y'all, if you can't look yourself in the mirror and see not only how beautiful you are, have always been, your life will always be a figment of your imagination. For what? Because it gets miles to the gallon. Well, he got you up in the wee hours doing things that you can't lift your head. And the truth is, you know, love is not there. Kind of makes you wonder why people get down with the BDS or the BDSM community. They worship pain. They thrive off of power. And they don't take accountability to nurture love that should have been there the whole time. Why? Because you're grabbing the brass ring. If it's meant for you to have, why won't you do the work? I'm just saying. So as you look at the minstrel show and watch the hair, and you know it's so funny. I'm not. You can take it as you want. You have actually got people out there that flip it up, change it up, and actually think that's theirs. When in actuality, what comes from out of you is more stronger, more beautiful, is meant to last forever. But if you keep looking at society, society's going to have you butt naked, out in the cold, without any identity. You see it sometimes with the people out there. You see them out there sitting on that park bench. You wonder, well, how did they get there? Why are they talking to themselves? What happened that was so bad? Where's their family? It's because when the reality came, they realized not only the price, but what it cost didn't equal their reality. So Queens, you're going to have people doing this, what we know is cuffing season now, because it's getting cold. No different than what some of you may have done. Oh, I'm going to go in the little black book. I'm going to call Jeffrey up. Holidays is coming. Oh, I'm going to call her. You know, Billy's birthday is coming up. Guys do it too. So if you're thinking about having a relationship or being in a relationship, is your relationship with yourself intact? Because the responsibility will require you to be transparent. Your relationship should not be like a game of Uno. You want that? You want to buy it? You got to draw forward. Nope, reverse. It shouldn't feel like you're navigating emotional landmines when you are just being you. But see, the people that don't want to embrace themselves, they say this: I don't care. I'm doing me. That's why you can't have a heart to heart with these people. And you can't look for them to give inspiration by example. You see it all the time. Well, look, I got this. I got this. Look at this. Check this out. Check it out. Because secretly they want validation for the bad behavior. I'm not no sellout, but what'd you do to get it? Some of y'all, all you have to do is look at that last scar. Who am I talking to? This is real, y'all. And it blew my mind because I didn't realize how prevalent it was in our society. It's like women are terrified of admitting that fact. You will never hear a guy say, "Well, you know what? Uh, yeah, I really love this girl, and she just didn't have it together. But see, I met April, and we were more compatible." How you gonna know what compatibility is if you ain't claiming you? That's no different. That's just like somebody finding a bus transfer and jumping on a bus with no intentions. They're just riding. And what ends up happening? The truth comes. And you are hit with communication maybe you were not aware of. Oh, that's when them secrets come out. Because secrets is nothing but words, nothing but truth unclaimed, unrevealed. Is it worth that next emotional breakdown? Is it worth feeling numb? Is it worth having, they got people that their self-esteem and worth is so battered that there are points in their memory that they black out. And they'll tell you if you listen. You'll see it in their behavior. Oh, she acting like a $2. Yeah, but she getting in that. That's the society we live in. Society says, let's make you the joke. But you don't see nobody walking around with a serial number or a copyright that says made by Mattel, when in actuality comes from China. That's too real. But you were made original for a reason. Ain't nothing more sad than see a couple and they out and about. First of all, and I'm gonna bring this home. If he ain't claiming you, if he ain't got his hands on you, here you go, baby. You know, if he ain't doing that, you ain't in a relationship. You're not. You're in a agreement. And you know that because you hear the disrespect. They're very condescending. Well, I bought this and I bought that, and I did this and that. It's mine, 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 mine. A person who's done the work knows what they have because they did it. They didn't compromise themselves. But see, society says, shut up. Take this lash. Bend over. You want to ride in that nice shiny car, don't you? And expect you not to feel a certain way. We used to call those Stepford wives. And that's all you see in Celebrityville nowadays. But the funny thing about it is, you get caught up with the color. When you don't see the trait, the behavior. You see it. It's the whole Scottie Pippen thing. You pick the celebrity, MO is always the same. The real question should be, if love was there, would they still be doing it? When we all know that women, because you were given the gift of nurturement, that's why you're protective. But you know the truth and the nature of your gender too, don't you? That's why when you see her and she's got that beautiful dress on, you got to turn around and get that same dress. When she gets her hair cut a certain way, you got to do the same thing. Guys don't do that. A real man doesn't do that. He's not going to do that. Meanwhile, you're with Mr. Bumpus and you're at the light and that guy rolls up and he could be in a hoopty, but you're intrigued. You can see that seat empty and you wonder, what would it be like? Some of y'all already know what I'm talking about because your face is still numb. So the real question should be, why do you settle? Why won't you do the work? How long are you going to continue? How long are you going to continue to hold the lie? Like uh, Will Smith did in that movie where he was a fun playing man and he said, die with the calm. Well, you're already emotionally dead because there's no love there. So what separates you from that escort? What separates you? A piece of paper? Some jewelry that'll end up going in the jewelry box with the the mementos of men past? Well, really, those were little boys. And you see it, especially the young ones. You got every piece of jewelry on your fingers like brass knuckles. That's not a good look. You say, well, guys got tattoos too. I'm going to get mine all up like that. Guess what? Real man, he won't marry you. He won't. He won't even put himself in that position. And that's where that proverbial connection of, I'm gonna bring you to my mom. Let my mom, if my mom likes you, then we got something. But what if mom was doing the same thing? Because someone taught her to get ahead in this world. I heard somebody say, to get ahead in this world, get what a less than man. That's what I heard. Really? It's about that now. How can you call yourself a woman if you're doing less than things? Because if you have any integrity, you wouldn't put yourself in there to begin with. But see, that's why you got cuffing season these days, because that is the playground for opportunists. They don't have to have accountability. They turn around and say, well, you know what it is. When the cracks come, what you talking about? You know how we got it together? Man, don't talk that way. A real man's going to sit down and he's going to show you with his actions, but he's going to invest through time by conversation. And we don't wear our wealth, we invest it. And you know what happens? And then we smile. We think, we take note of where we are, staying grounded to where we're going, which is our harvest. And we even breathe a little deeper because we realize those who have come did not earn the right to be called Mrs. So, Queen, Joe got love for you, but you got to do the work. Don't get caught up with your girlfriend's doing because you don't get to see it all. And if she is not speaking her truth, she's also part of the deception. So ask yourself this: was it really worth ransoming your heart? Because that's why that little girl inside you is screaming. And maybe that's the reason why you have to be sedated, because the reality that you're in is a nightmare. You can change that up. You can change that up when you decide to go back to where it all began, inside you. You can't call yourself strong if you won't have that conversation with him. And as long as you don't, the devil's gonna make your reality the hell that you've come to know it to be. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Well, you know it's the holidays coming up, right? I call it the dawn of the dead because now you're going to start hearing from people you ain't heard from in so long. And they're going to have the gall and the audacity to think that, okay, like they just came out the closet, like, voila! They don't know God. What makes you think they have the right to know you? I'm just saying. Have a blessed weekend. Bye.